Hi, good evening. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today to just do a short presentation on my research. This is kind of a survey on exploring data security issues and solutions in cloud computing. This is a joint paper by me, Ravi, Dr. Raj, Ms. Bijalsiana. We're from Brunei, and okay, let's go into the outline of this research paper. First one, of course, is the introduction, cloud computing model, data security issues and solutions, conclusion and future challenges, references, question and answer session. Of course, I am doing offline presentation. Okay, let's go into the introduction. As everyone know now, cloud computing is one of the fastest emerging technologies in computing. So everyone, including me, or everyone, all these computing professionals or general professionals, they use cloud computing in day-to-day life without realizing it, like Microsoft Office 365, Dropbox, Gmail. So these are all we use in our day-to-day life, but sometimes we don't even realize that we are using cloud computing. Advantages of cloud computing: yes, it is anytime, anywhere accessibility, better geographic coverage, less investment on infrastructure. IT companies don't have to park big money on infrastructure. Flexibility, elasticity, and optimal resource utilization. Challenges of cloud computing, of course, that's the key topic of this research. Data security is the core of these challenges in cloud computing or issues in cloud computing. That's a topic also. Lack of resources and expertise. This is recently in 2017 or 16, late 16. This is one of the emerging challenge on cloud computing. There is lack of resources and expertise. Lack of standards. There are a couple of more challenges. Let's go quickly into a cloud computing model. This is according to the NIST. That is, it has been classified as three. One is the deployment models, where in the deployment models we have the public cloud, private cloud, hybrid, and community cloud. On the service delivery models, there are three types: software as a service, popularly called as SaaS; platform as a service, called as a PaaS; infrastructure as a service, called as IaaS. Okay, and the essential characteristics for building this cloud computing, or there are five essential characteristics. First one is the resource pooling, where all the resources can be pooled centrally, and the cloud computing customers or cloud consumer can be charged on a pay-per-use basis. And then broad network access, rapid elasticity, measured service, that is like meter service, on-demand self-service. So these are the characteristics of cloud computing. This is by the by the NIST. They provided this this cloud computing model. That is National Institute of Standards and Technology. Okay, they brought up this model, and it's been universal, and everyone follow that that cloud computing model. And cloud computing, there are five actors in cloud computing model, you can say. The first one is the cloud carrier. So that is the ISP, or the cloud who provide the cloud services. And the second one is the first one is the cloud consumer, or it's also called as a cloud service consumer. It's called CSC. The second one is cloud provider, who provide all the cloud services. They call as cloud service provider, CSP. Cloud auditor, who audit the infrastructure, the security, and the management of cloud resources. Cloud broker, who interacts between the cloud service provider and the cloud service customer. Cloud carrier, who normally provide the the connectivity, provides the connectivity and cloud services from cloud service provider to the cloud service customer. And The table 1 shows the different services provided by the delivery model and the responsibilities. Okay, there are so many surveys on data security issues and solutions. This research is a bit unique one in the sense that we have taken the different services offered by the cloud computing. We classified there are 9 basic services in cloud computing, like application, data, runtime, middleware, operating system, virtualization, server, storage, networking, and then we go into those 3 service delivery models like IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So what services and who is responsible for those kind of services? Like for example, cloud service, CSC stands for cloud service customer. So in IaaS, application, data, runtime, and middleware and operating system becomes the cloud service customer's responsibility. So anything the data they put in, so they are responsible in CSC. That is in IaaS. Only the last 4 components like virtualization, server, storage, and networking become the cloud service provider's responsibility. When it comes to platform as a service, PaaS, only the application and data belongs to cloud service customer. In fact, they are responsible for that one. The rest of the services all done by the cloud service provider. There are a couple of examples you can say. A lot of examples are there. On the SaaS, software as a service, all the 9 components are provided by the cloud service providers. Like for example, what we use all those enterprise softwares like Office 365. Here, the data, application, the security, everything belongs to the cloud service provider. They become totally responsible. Okay, our survey is based on these 9 components. Data security issues, but we focus only on the data security. This paper goes detail into the data security issues. So there are many issues, but our research summarize or categorize these data security issues into 4 major categories as shown in the figure 3. As you can see that data security issues, you have the first one is the CAA. CAA stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This is a very key issue in data security. So, and AAC stands for authorization and access control issues. That's another major issue in the data security. Third one is a broken authentication, session and access related issues, security issues. The last one is the other data related issues we grouped into other issues we grouped here. Okay, types of, okay, that's the figure type of security issues. CAA, as I told you, stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the data. AAC stands for authentication and access control on users' data, who can access, who cannot access. CAA related security issues. Data is the core component in any business, whether it is a retail business or hospitality or any business you take. Data is the core component in any business. So CAA loss, that means confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data are lost. If the data is lost or confidential or integrity is lost or the confidence is lost, then it can make a big impact in business. Companies can go bankrupt. Any one of that is lacking from your business. Okay, confidentiality refers to data privacy, where the data belongs to cloud service customer, is not revealed to unauthorized parties on any occasion. So that's called as a confidentiality in terms of CAA. So this is commonly called as a CAA triad. The integrity of data refers to the confidence that the data stored in the cloud is not fiddled or meddled by any unauthorized parties. Only authorized people are allowed to manipulate the data. Okay. Third one is availability of data. As the name suggests, availability of data refers to pledge that whenever the customer needs data, the data should be available to them without any delay or deny. That's very important. So that's called availability. So these 3 things are very key issues in data security. So what are the solutions to these issues? There are a number of solutions. So some of the important solutions or methods to avoid data loss due to this CAA are shown below. Apply strong encryption methods, encryption when the data is at rest and also when the data is in transit. That's when the data is in use or when the data is at rest, like backup and other things. So encryption, strong encryption method should be implemented. Hash methods can be used to find out accidental and intentional data changes. When someone is deliberately changing the data, yes, it can be find out using the hash methods, but they consume more bandwidth and time consuming. Third-party auditing can be employed to check for the data integrity. Provable data possession scheme was initiated by Atensi et al. To investigate statistically the correctness of the data without retrieving the data outsourced to cloud storage. So that's a big advantage, because you don't have to retrieve the data to prove the correctness. So this method was proposed by Atensi et al. It's a good method. Do not store the encryption keys along with the encrypted data. So this is a common mistake beginners used to do. So when it's something like keeping the house key in front of the thief house or something like, you are giving with the keys along with the data. So that's not a method. So do not store that. We continue with that authentication. The next topic on the next issue on the data security is the authentication and access control issue. It's a process of verification and confirmation on user's identity to connect, to access and use cloud resources. Authentication in public cloud is more subject to vulnerability than private cloud, because public cloud is open to all, anyone can access it. What we are using, Office 365, Gmail, so it's a public cloud. Okay, so they are more vulnerable than the private cloud. In cloud computing, customers connect to cloud services through APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interface, and these APIs are designed to accept tokens rather than passwords, because passwords can be easily cracked by the hackers. So they use the security tokens in cloud computing. In cloud computing, authentication applies to not only users but also to machines, because machines need to be authenticated because they do some automated jobs, like for example taking a backup, online backup, patching and updating systems, and remote monitoring systems. So those machines also need to be authenticated in cloud computing. Solutions to ASC related security issues. Okay, let's see the solutions to the authentication and access control related security issues. There are many solutions or methods to mitigate authentication and access control security related issues or challenges. I just listed a couple of solutions here. Apply single sign-on policy wherever possible. Okay. The second one is multi-factor authentication can be employed, which enables both identity and access management, and it is used in Amazon Web Services. Biometric authentication has the potential to be the most secure form of single sign-on authentication. RSA crypto system can be adopted, which is very effective for data protection in cloud computing. Okay, next one is employ or install intrusion detection system. Firewalls as well as the segregation of obligations can be implemented on the different network and cloud layers to enable proper access control in cloud computing for better data protection. Employ some third-party solutions like Microsoft Azure Active Directory, Okta, Identity Management, McAfee Cloud Identity Manager. These are all the third-party solutions, so you can employ also. Cloud applications should use the standards where applicable. There are a lot of standards like Security Assertion Markup Language, SAML, and XML-based OASIS, Organization for the Advancement of Structured Information Standards. There are a lot of standards on the cloud application, so employ or use those standards. Use strong authentication method like RSA. RSA is really very useful on the security for encryption, and method like RSA token, OTP over the phones. Now most of the banks and those devices, they use this OTP, one-time password over the phone, smart card, PKI, biometrics, etc. for the original identity confirmation and determine the type of credentials. This is another category, the third category, broken authentication, session and access control issues. Broken authentication and session control threat occurs due to the incorrect implementation of authentication and session management in the application domain. Attacker takes advantage of the situation and can compromise passwords, keys, session tokens, or to exploit other implementation flaws to assume another user's identity. Okay. Attackers generally target the privileged accounts like a database administrator, DB account, or super user, or network administrator accounts. The broken access control threat occurs when there is a lack of enforcement of restriction on what authenticated users are allowed to do. So that's where the broken access control comes. Okay. So, and solutions. What are the solutions to broken authentication, session and access control? The following are some of the methods that can be used to reduce these challenges. Implement a single set of strong authentication and session management controls. Avoid cross-site scripting flaws which can be used to steal session IDs. This is especially in programming or application programming, or SQL is part of that. So on that, avoid this XSS, cross-site scripting flaws. Check access. Use of a direct reference from an untrusted source must be checked for access control to ensure that the user is authorized for the requested resources. Use per user or session indirect object references. In this, the coding pattern prevents attackers from directly targeting unauthorized resource. Automated verification. Apply automation to verify proper authentication deployment. And there are also other data security issues. Any other issues can be classified under these other data security issues. Like other minor data related security issues can occur through data location, multi-tenancy. This is one of the major factor in cloud computing. Multi-tenancy is an important factor there, and backup in cloud computing. If the data location is not safe physically and logically, then the data is vulnerable to malicious insiders and external hackers. So normally the insiders, the major threat for an organization is the malicious insiders. And external hackers, of course, we can protect them, but it's very difficult to find out the malicious insiders in an organization. So in cloud computing, a user can intrude into another user's data location due to multi-tenant architecture. In cloud computing, all data, especially the sensitive data, should be regularly backed up and tested for proper data recovery in case of disasters. Solutions to other data security issues. So cloud service customer should know the logical and physical location of the data, if not at least the which state, which country the data center is, because it is due to all the potential regulatory, each country has their own regulatories and rules, contractual and other judicial issues. So it's a must for customer, cloud service customer must know the location of the data center. Establish location and juridical policies to govern the data location. Adopt intelligent data segregation techniques to segregate the data from different users. Use strong encryption techniques for the backup data to avoid data leakage. Okay, conclusion. The cloud problems are mainly with the security and privacy of the data stored in the cloud. The cloud environments like heterogeneity, resource sharing, multi-tenancy, virtualization, mobile cloud computing, and service level agreements, that makes the cloud security more vulnerable. Of course, they have brought the technology, they brought the advantages, these factors are the parameters they brought. They made the cloud computing to be more popular, but then they also has this, vulnerabilities. New developments in cloud computing like as container as a service, software defined networking, software defined storage, and cloud of things COT brings new challenges in cloud computing, and they need to be addressed. Any new technology which comes in, they also come with kind of challenges which the hackers or the there are people to explore those challenges. So they need to be addressed. Always review and update the security policies and procedure on a regular basis to protect the data and its privacy. So that's it. This paper provides all these conclusion, all these data security issues and surveys, and all these references are listed here. There are about 14 or 17 references, and that's it about my presentation. Okay, I think thank you for your time and attention. Have a good day. Bye.